Hi everyone, welcome here. I hope you're doing well. What would you do if you were part of a study and the task was to spend 15 minutes on a chair in a room that was otherwise empty, entertaining yourself with your own thoughts? How would you spend that time? A research team from the University of Virginia looked at this, and what they found is pretty almost unbelievable. What I just described was an actual setup of a study that Timothy Wilson and his team did to find out how enjoyable it is for people to just sit and think. And they did this study a couple of times. And today I want to talk about one version that specifically surprised the research team and also me when I read about this. And in this version, there were two phases in the study. In phase number one, the participants were asked to rate certain stimuli and to let the research team know how pleasurable they find experiencing these stimuli. And amongst these stimuli was an electric shock. So they got a small electric shock, and only the people who said that they did not enjoy it and would pay money to not have to experience it again were then moved to step 2 of the study. In step 2, they were in a room that was empty except for a chair and an electric shock machine. And they only had 2 rules to follow. Number 1 was stay awake, and number 2 was stay in your chair. And they were told that if they wanted to, they could administer themselves an electric shock. And it was emphasized that they didn't have to do this, that it was completely up to them, and that the study would be successful no matter if they chose to give themselves an electric shock or not. So they sat there for 15 minutes. All of their belongings were outside of the room, especially their phones. And it was suggested to them that they entertain themselves with their own thoughts for these 15 minutes. Now, I want to know 2 things. Number 1, what would you have done in those 15 minutes? And number 2, what do you think, how many people, what was the percentage of the people in this study that actually gave themselves an electric shock? Let us know in the comment section. I imagine that I would have used this time to maybe process something, do a relaxation exercise, maybe meditate. And this is also what the research team expected would happen, that the people would use these 15 minutes as a welcome break from engaging with the world. But what they found was a bit different. Here are 2 things that the study revealed. People enjoy doing more than just thinking. One of the things that the research team asked the participants after those 15 minutes of just thinking was how much they enjoyed this time. And half of the people said they didn't enjoy it. The only thing that made it more enjoyable in different versions of the study was when they were allowed to read a book, listen to music, or surf the internet. There was no connection between how enjoyable people found just thinking and their age, their income, education, the frequency with which they use their smartphone or social media. Also, they tested if it became more enjoyable to just think at home, but that was not the case. It didn't matter if they were in their comfortable home environment or in the lab. It was equally as unenjoyable. And people who said that they get bored easily found it even less enjoyable, and people who said that when they daydream, they feel happy afterwards had the tendency to find the 15 minutes of just thinking more enjoyable. People would rather experience something unpleasant than to just think. Now we come to the electric shocks. An unbelievable amount of people, almost every second person in this study, gave themselves at least 1 electric shock during those 15 minutes. Another more recent study found a similar thing, They asked the participants to watch a pretty boring movie for 1 hour. The movie consisted of a clip of two men playing tennis. The clip was 85 seconds long. And this clip repeated itself for 1 hour. Pretty boring. And in that study, 93% of the people gave themselves an electric shock on average 22 times. I still cannot believe it really when I say it now, that people would rather experience something they previously said they would pay money for to not have to experience it again, rather than to just think. Timothy Wilson and his team conclude at the end of this paper describing this study that this shows that it's not that easy to actually guide our mind to a place of pleasant thoughts and then to stay there. And that's probably the reason why this experience was so unenjoyable for many people. And that this is probably also why many people train their minds by meditation and other exercises. The last sentence of this paper is, "The untutored mind does not like to be alone with itself." This is, I find, such a powerful thought to think about. How well have I trained my mind so that it actually is enjoyable to spend time alone with my own thoughts? If you'd like to do something to tutor your mind, to train your mind, here are a few ideas of what you can do. Gratitude exercises, asking yourself every single day, what am I grateful for? Maybe even writing it down. Also becoming more aware of how our perspective on what is happening is something that is flexible and something that we construct and something we can work on. We can practice finding perspectives on things that actually support us rather than disempower us. Also, you can practice gently shifting your mind towards thoughts that you find uplifting and empowering, rather than remaining very long with thoughts that pull you down. You can even make this into a regular habit with affirmations or meditation exercises. Also, you could practice to be more present in the here and now, to really experience whatever it is you're experiencing, rather than being somewhere else internally. I also wonder if part of the reason why people preferred to experience those electroshocks is that we've become so accustomed to entertaining ourselves and not having to wait. If you want to reflect more on that, check out my video on patience. I'll link it up here. We also have our own Facebook group. It's called Becoming an Expert at Self-Leadership. You're very welcome to join us. The link is in the description box. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and feel warmly invited to leave a like and share this video with your friends. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.